Hi, Ron Anderson with Texas LTC Gun Safety Central. Was out at the range earlier today, a very windy day, so the audio quality of some of that video is not great, but I am going to roll some of that footage in. And what I was doing was shooting the 10-shot drill. Well, that's what I call it. It's not a drill I came up with. It's actually something that Ben Stoeger, who has a great YouTube channel, check him out, Ben Stoeger, has demonstrated many times. And it's a great exercise for beginners, intermediate, and advanced, right? This gives you things that you can work on, and more importantly, shows you where your mistakes may be coming from by the results that you get on paper. So how does firing 10 rounds in a fairly consistent, methodical pattern help you shoot better? So what that does, 10 rounds, why 10 rounds? Well, because it forces you to go through a series of shots, and 10 is a pretty good series of shots, and maintain the same grip and stance throughout the entire 10 rounds, right? And try to keep all of the other variables that you have control over minimized, right? Because any input that we give to the gun is going to get translated in, misses from where our point of aim is. Ideally, we want our grip to remain consistent no matter how many rounds that we're shooting. The reason we do 10 rounds here is because that's a long string of consecutive shots. And if your grip is not maintained the same throughout, what you're going to get are, well, different results, right? So we're always going to start by aiming at the very same spot on the target every time we pull the trigger, right? We're always aiming for the very same spot, no matter where the bullets go. We always aim for the same spot, pull the trigger, let the gun recoil, let it come back, pull the trigger again. If our grip is not solid, if our stance is not solid, then we'll start to get misses, high, low, all around. And I'm going to demonstrate that in several different ways. I'm going to shoot this 10-round drill 3 different ways, and we'll discuss what these 3 different results show us and how it will teach us to improve our shooting by running through this 10 rounds and looking at what the paper says, because of course the paper never lies, right? Okay, so target number 2, this one here. I shot this one purposely with a very loose grip, and I'll demonstrate that for you on camera in a moment. But as you can see, the shots are really inconsistent. This is the point of aim, right? A black dot that I'm always going to aim for no matter where the bullets go. And had 3 shots that came close to it, but then we've got just shots all over the place, right? High and low, left, right. Okay. I told you that I specifically shot this with a bad grip. So let me show you a little bit about what that looks like. Okay. And we have an unloaded gun here, right? Glock 17, that I used to shoot it with. And by a bad grip, what I mean is that I gripped the pistol way low instead of up here under the beaver tail like you're supposed to, right? I gripped it low. I'm going to switch hands to right hand. I'm a left-handed shooter. But I was low, and then I had I had my thumbs crossed like this, right? Instead of a proper grip, which would look like that, right? So this is how I shot that group. So what happens is that because now the center of gravity's been moved on the gun, there's a lot more, the gun can move around a lot more as it's recoiling. Whereas if I'm up under the beaver tail, right, there's very little wiggle room. Kind of have to move my arm, but when I'm down here, suddenly the gun can go all over the place. And it's all that movement that makes our hits go around. Sometimes we can, if we're really concentrating, and I think that's where these 3 shots were probably where I was really slowing down and I got a good shot off, but then the gun recoiled, moved in my hands because I don't have a good grip on it, and the shot would go low or high. So if you're shooting and your targets look like you hit it with buckshot, you probably need to work on that grip, okay? So let's move to the next example. The third target I shot doing what's called chasing the dot, which means I started off with my dot on the black dot on the target, right? As you're supposed to do, target focus shooting. But then as I began to progress, shot after shot, instead of letting the dot come back to here, I began to follow the dot as it recoiled up, and you can see the string of shots just continues up. So when you're stringing shots together, even if they're shot on shot and they're above, matter of fact, pretty much anytime your shots are above your line, you're probably chasing your sights, or in this case, your red dot. You're chasing that dot around instead of letting the gun come back to where it's supposed to. Why does that happen? Well, because we stop focusing on the target. So when we take our focus off of the target and the specific area on the target that we want to shoot, this black dot, and instead we start looking at the sight, whether it's the front sight or at the red dot, our shots are going to start to track upwards, because as the gun recoils, we will start to pull the trigger when the sight or the dot gets close to here. And each time the gun recoils, it's going to keep going up, 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 up. And you'll see like a staircase, or sometimes a nice total string, 3, 4, 5 shots in a line, all touching each other, but going up. That means that you're chasing your dot. You're not focused on the target. Okay, the first target that I shot, the last one that I'm going to talk about, is a bit of a mess because I shot this twice. And I know I'm off camera, but kind of have to be for this. However, this one I shot trying to use all the right skills, okay? And I had 1, 2, 3 shots that were low, and all of the others, as you can see in the video, hit about here, and then I had a couple out there. But it was about a 2-inch group with 3 down low. Now, why is that? Probably those 3 down low were caused from me anticipating recoil, right? And so what we tend to do is push forward a little bit on the gun right before we pull the trigger. We just give it I'm over-exaggerating, give it a slight nudge, right? So that's probably why those 3 shots went below the line, right? All the other shots were in the line and pretty much obliterated the black dot, okay? So you say, well, that's pretty good shooting, and say, yay, right? So here's why I'm going to hold off congratulating myself too much on shooting so well on that first round. And that is because if you shoot, now I was shooting at 7, but I want you to start at 3 or 5 yards. But when you shoot, if you have a really good grouping, right, what that tells you is that, yes, your grip and your stance seem to be consistent, and you were able to hold it through the 10 rounds. So what you need to do is either speed up or push the target further out, right? So that's what I'm going to do next with this next video, is I'm going to speed up the pace and see if I can induce errors. And in fact, that's what happened. So we'll watch that. So you can see I shot that second round on this target much more aggressively. The splits, the time between each shot, less, and I shot faster. And results, though, sort of similar, right? Because I had some shots go low. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 shots. 4 out of 10 shots went low. I had 3 out of 10 on the last one. Okay, so speeding up, we can see what? I'm still going below my line. So there's still some either recoil anticipation, or some of it, I think this one of these last ones was just a little bit of sloppiness on my part, okay? Just being honest with you. The paper never lies, right? The other shots were, that's a 2, that's a 2, that's a 2. When I say 2, it was the second round of shooting. This was all taped up before. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So again, the group is good there. 6 out of my 10 shots all end up within about 1 to 2 inches, keeping a 2-inch group. But I had 4 shots, 40% of my shots went low by a significant amount. So that tells me that I need to work on trigger control and recoil anticipation. So again, the biggest problems we tend to see have to do with trigger control. Bad trigger control leads us to having shots, bad grip and trigger control, because a poor grip means that you are going to have a lot of movement. Every time you pull the trigger, you're moving the gun around, right? So you end up with this buckshot pattern, okay? We can have real good trigger control and have our grip be in pretty good form, but because we anticipate the recoil, what we do is we push that gun down. Just as we're going to pull the trigger, we push it down slightly, right? And so that's what gave us low shots here, and it also gave us low shots. Well, this was just poor grip altogether. Gives one low shot over here. So recoil anticipation, poor grip, and the third that we looked at here, again, is chasing the dot or the sight around the target. Instead of staying focused here, you start to let that dot, watch it as it moves across the target, and you start firing your shots off, and they're going to be high, right? Generally, your shots are high. You're probably not staying focused on the target. And that's how the 10-shot drill can help you to evaluate your own shooting, right? So that you don't always have to go out with the instructor. It uses a lot of rounds, but it teaches you a lot. And as I say, once you get your groups to, and let's say starting out at 3 yards and 5 yards, you should be trying to keep a 3-inch group. You should be able to do that at 3 to 5 yards. And once you're able to do that, and there's not too many that are too high and too many that are too low, right? You've got a nice group that's working. Then don't pat yourself on the back. Now it's time to either try to shoot it faster, and there's only a certain amount. You can only shoot so fast, and this isn't a bill drill. This isn't a speed drill. You either shoot faster, though, or you push it out. If you start at 3 yards, now it's time to move to 5 yards. If you're doing good at 5 yards, move out to 7 yards. Now, as you move your distance, you're going to need to widen your group, what you're going to call an acceptable group. At 3 yards, 5 yards, a 3-inch group is good. At 7 yards, I'd say a 3 to 4 inch group would probably be good. Still want to keep it in 3. When you get out to 10 yards, you might want to make that out to 5 inches again, because there's going to be some spread. But the further you push it out, the more any little mistakes that you've got at 3 and 5 yards, they're going to become very apparent at 10 yards and 15 yards. Though this drill really for 15 yards is a little bit much. So that is the 10-shot drill. I hope you'll try this out. You'll get 1 of 3 of those results or some mix in between, but it'll give you lots of things to work on at home with dry fire practice. That's going to be your key. Dry fire practice costs you nothing. It's very safe, and it will help you to be sure that when you get out to the range, all of your fundamentals are in order, right? Good grip, good stance that you can maintain through a series of 10 shots. And when you can do that, well, as I said, then either shoot faster or shoot farther. Until next time, we'll see you.